This guy is very loud, very arrogant, and very wrong in a lot of cases. The majority of his video is just like that. He's going to run his mouth a lot. He's going to make a bold assumption, but he's not going to back up the claim. He's just going to show a random wiki audio that does not support what he is actually saying. Even though Alice Cooper is a notable conservative alt, he doesn't have a valid counter argument against him. He's just going to say, I don't like him, so screw that guy. First of all, one image that you copied and pasted from Google is not a source. Second of all, how many Ramones songs actually push political ideology? None? Oh, right, because politics was not a main part of the band's image. Just because a musician has political stances does not mean they use their platform to push politics or combine their politics with their music. Correlation is not causation. First of all, I've never heard anybody say the Beatles invented punk. I've heard people give credit to The Who, The Kinks, and MC5, but I've never heard anyone give credit to the Beatles for that. And Helter Skelter, yeah, I knew about that song forever ago. I also know that Helter Skelter was the song that Charles Manson claimed God was speaking to him through and told him to go out and kill all those people. I also know that both the song and the Manson murders were referenced in Don McLean's American Pie. You see, the biggest problem with you is that you're making assumptions that I'm not a rock fan and I've never listened to rock and roll. And yet the reality is I've been an aspiring rock singer long before I even got into politics, so you're really just embarrassing yourself. But I'll school you on that later on.
You think John Lennon, the man that is doing like the exact opposite?
Oh, you mean the self-proclaimed woman beater. The guy who admitted that he likes to beat women, including Yoko Ono. The guy who's responsible for breaking up the Beatles. Y'all can keep him. And aside from John Lennon, how much did the other member of the Beatles combine their music with their political ideas? Not very often. John Lennon was the only political one, and contrary to his reputation, he was a piece of shit human being. In fact, the song Hey Jude was about the other members of the band consoling one of his exes after John Lennon beat her. I bet you didn't know that.
Proponents of abolition other than black people were white evangelicals like James Brown, many black people.
Did you just say James Brown?
Are you really so desperate for a one-up you're going to pretend you didn't notice that I caught my own mistake? You see, like all pseudo-intellectuals, if you actually had anything good to say, you wouldn't have to rely on something like, I don't know, being a grammar Nazi, or going in on somebody for having a slip of the tongue.
Anyways, man, this man, Robert Johnson, the creator of fucking blues.
No, he didn't. Blues had been around since the days of slavery. What Robert Johnson is credited for is bringing blues into the mainstream, which, by the way, only happened after he died. He's one of the first musicians to record blues, and his music would go on to influence everybody from Nat King Cole to Muddy Waters to Led Zeppelin, Eric Clapton, and everyone in between. And while we're on the subject, Eric Clapton is also a bit of a conservative himself. But most of all, bringing up Robert Johnson and his legacy doesn't disprove anything I said about how all modern music is rooted in black evangelical conservatism from the turn of the century. My point still stands. You making a random leap with baseless assumptions does not disprove anything. Yeah, as these styles became more mainstream with artists like Robert Johnson or Ray Charles, many hardline conservatives within the black community spoke out against them, claiming it to be blasphemy. That still doesn't disprove anything I have said. If anything, it backs my claim up. Because at the end of the day, you're still proving that these styles are rooted in black evangelical conservatism. And these black evangelical conservative preachers were not too happy with the styles that were popular in their churches being used to promote sinful behavior.
Of things that go against of bigoted fucking pieces of shit.
Bigot. A person who is obstinately or unreasonably attached to a belief, opinion, or faction, especially one who is prejudiced against or antagonistic towards a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular group. And I gotta tell you, That seems to describe you way more than it describes most of the conservatives I talk with today. Because here's the kicker. I'm not a conservative. I'm a minarchist libertarian. The difference with conservatives and leftists like you is that I can sit down and have a civil conversation with conservatives. We can agree to disagree. The second anybody challenges you, you're doing nothing but talking down to them, disrespecting them, and flaunting your misplaced sense of intellectual superiority. It's leftists who are so attached to their political dogma that they feel the need to gatekeep their communities that have nothing to do with politics away from people that are politically different than themselves. Please learn the meaning of words before you use them, because the only bigot in this conversation is you, my friend.
Fucking scorn you. Stick to your shit that you know. You have no idea what you are fucking talking about when it comes to artistic people.
You know what they say when you assume things? You make an ass out of you and me. I got these knuckle tattoos after Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead passed away. They say Iron Fist because I'm into boxing and I'm a huge Motorhead fan. A few of my band shirts: Korn, Pantera, Iron Maiden, Amon Amarth, Johnny Cash, Megadeth, which by the way, are libertarian. I also have a 13 on the back of my neck in homage to Johnny Cash. In fact, this particular Johnny Cash song was written by Glenn Danzig of the Misfits, yet another legendary punk icon who's been insanely critical of the radical left. But even punk icons who were considered left-wing back in the day are starting to distance themselves from the modern left because y'all are so goddamn, oh yeah, bigoted.
Morgan Wallen fan. Or who are the other dickheads that you guys have taken in? Oh, Kid Rock, Jelly Belly. Who's the other dickhead? Tim McDonald.
Out of all the musicians you just named, I might get down on one song that any of them have ever done. Hell, Kid Rock is the only one who has songs I can even name to begin with. The rest of them are nobodies. I've heard the name Morgan Wallen. I know who Jelly Roll is. Who the fuck is Tim McDonald? I don't think I can name a single song from one of those guys. And as far as Kid Rock goes, he's got one decent song. I still want to go see him in concert. I might defend my conservative brethren because they're able to sit down and have a conversation with me, but Kid Rock is way too cringe. See, you made a bunch of baseless assumptions about me without knowing who I am or what kind of music I'm into. Out of all your whining and crying, you didn't provide a single piece of evidence to support any of your claims. You didn't prove that these communities belong to leftists and leftists alone. All you proved is that you don't know what the word bigot is, and if you did, you would recognize that you are the only bigot in this conversation. The bottom line is, leftists do not have a claim to gatekeep alt culture or punk culture. You're only doing so because you're too much of a bigot to accept people of a differing perspective than your own. On top of that, you don't seem to realize that correlation isn't causation. Just because an individual within a band is left-wing does not mean they use their platform to push politics. Alice Cooper is a conservative. He doesn't use his platform to push politics. Joey Ramone was a liberal. But I can't think of a single song by the Ramones that was actually political. And even when it comes to punk and metal songs, they're not necessarily left-wing. Megadeth are staunchly libertarian. And if we factor in Motorhead into the equation like Lemmy Kilmister, he hated politics altogether. At the end of the day, you're too old to be running your mouth like this and being so blatantly wrong at the same time. Don't ever sit here talking to me about what the cool kids would think. You're too goddamn old for that. And the entire purpose of punk is to not conform with what the cool kids think. Have the day you deserve.